What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Let's Build the U.S.S. Voyager Season 1, Episode 32. I'm Zerelite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for that. Today we got about a 19-minute episode. We're going to be picking up right where we left off, working on our modifications that we're making to the front end of the lower hull. So you guys should be caught up right where I was, where we added in that last row, and then I brought it right up to the cut line. But as you can see here, I followed what I was telling you guys to go off of in the last episode. We were just working off of the top half here. We were not going to do the bottom half, and we're about to jump into that right now, why I built it that way. So without further ado, let's dive right into this. Now you should have some access on the sides here. Leftovers from the old template. We're just going to take a moment here and delete this access. We don't need it anymore, and we want to make sure to get rid of it now. This way it does not confuse us with our build. Or let me rephrase, it's not going to confuse us with having that access hanging there and just having a hodgepodge of stuff. We don't need it, so let's just get rid of it. And I'm not going to be super concerned with filling in the top of it, but we are going to do the sides of it just to make sure that the template matches up. And you want to make sure to do that on the left side and the right side. Super simple what we're doing here. As long as you're following your template, you should be good. But with that being said, if you do get stuck and you have questions, drop a comment below. I will try to help you as long as you're cool about it. If you're not so cool about it, don't be surprised if you don't get a response. Alright. We're looking pretty good. We just got to fill in, bring this side up, and we're just going to go straight across. Now, believe it or not, we're actually not doing too bad. I'm one block forward than what we originally had. Not a big deal, because we're going to be making some adjustments. So now on the sides here, we're going to be going back and taking away a block, going back with a cut line every row, because I want to be able to have that transition point that matches my illuminated blocks that I did a couple of videos ago to get that angle, the more the angle that what I was looking for the front end. This is why we didn't build in the lower half of this, because the majority of it we would have been deleting. And we've already deleted enough of the lower hull. I want to try to eliminate spinning our tires and deleting extra blocks if and where we can. That's why I always say the more you plan out, the better off you're going to be in the long run. But some of this, there's just no way to avoid it. So now what we're going to be doing here is fairly cut and dry. Some of you can probably already figure out where I'm going with this, is that now that we have our cut line going back one with a cut, all we have to do is follow that going all the way in or going all the way back and just fill in everything going with our cut line. So more or less, I mean, as long as you're following your cut, this is pretty much an autopilot experience at this point going forward. A lot of this I'm going to show it just to keep you guys on point with me for those of you that need it. But we're just repeating the same steps that we've been doing for this whole build, following our cut line. Now, I mean, there are going to be scenarios where we have no choice but to deviate from the cut line. You're not going to see that too much with Voyager. When we get into the Excelsior 2 class, you guys will see that a little bit with the neck and lower hull. But to be honest with you, that's the first ship I've ever done it that way, and that was honestly just because I had no choice but to do it that way to get the shape that I needed. But for the most part, you're going to be able to follow going with the cut line. That's why I've just accepted that it's just kind of how it's going to be. Every single ship is going to have its own set of challenges, and after building the Excelsior class, I've learned that sometimes you are going to have to veer away from some of the rules that you have with our ships, with our shipbuilding. Just sometimes you have no choice but to do it. See, we're looking good as long as we're keeping that pattern, going one back with a cut on the sides, and then we're filling in everything else. Fairly cut and dry here. Normally, with this process, honestly, I'd be fast forwarding through it, but I'm trying to foresee when people will have problems with something, and this could be an area that I can understand where somebody can get confused, which is why I'm showing a lot of this right now. Those of you that don't need this, I mean, it's going to hurt my analytics a little bit, but you don't have to hang around and watch all this unless you just want to double check and make sure what you're doing is matching up with what I'm doing. And in that case, just build along with me, you know. But once we're done with this, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to make 2 more minor adjustments to the lower hull. We're still going to shave up, we're going to end up taking off a couple more rows, but it won't be as nearly as drastic as far as what we've done within the past, this episode and the previous episode. It won't nearly be as drastic. And it's crazy in some ways. We've really banged out quite a good portion of Voyager, but in other ways it's taken us a little bit longer to get going in some areas. But believe it or not, we actually really are rocking and rolling here, because from what I remember, after we do this, we're going to get a lot of the pylons filled in, and then building out the nacelles, the engines, and then from there we start detailing and making our last minute adjustments to the lower hull, and then also doing just a little bit of the interior just to be able to get us around where we need to go, and setting up some stuff for season 2 more or less. I'm not sure how many episodes Voyager is going to end up at. We're just kind of have to play it by ear. We still have some content to go through, but it's kind of hard to gauge because every single recording session that I've done, I've been trying to get a little bit better when I'm recording and being more conscious that I'm more or less doing a tutorial, but I'm trying to veer away from calling these things tutorials and calling them Let's Builds. But that's a discussion for another time. But I was going somewhere with that, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of lost my train of thought on it. But it's okay. We will get there one episode at a time. It is a little bit dark under there, and I apologize. I probably need a couple of... There we go. Yeah, I try to be very, very conscious of the fact that I'm recording. Oh, that's what I was going to say. It came back to me just like that. So when I'm doing my recordings, I try to make a point to where if I'm not actively deleting or building something, I stop recording. And one of the reasons I do that is to help out on my own editing time. Well, I should say my wife's editing time, because she has taken over my editing responsibilities for my YouTube. So huge shout out to Valkyrie. I love you very much. But no, that's something I try to do. If I'm not actively recording, I'm not actively building or deleting, I stop recording. And I do this to try to cut down on editing time and also spinning my tires out. So in other words, after I build something, immediately I stop recording, and then, you know, if I'm going to think about it or evaluate or whatever I'm going to do, I'll do that off camera. And then I'll come back to it and, you know, obviously make whatever changes I need to make. But it's become very efficient, but the downside to it, and basically the super long explanation just to get to this point, when I probably just should have cut to the chase to begin with, but I don't know how many, each episode or each recording session I do, I mean, it could be 30 seconds, it could be 10 seconds, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 2 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, it just depends. So it's pretty much impossible for me to gauge how many episodes there's actually going to be unless I went in right now and I separated all my videos up, which I could potentially do at some point, just to get an idea of where we're going to fall at. And that might end up being something that I will do, just to get an idea to see how long season 1 of Voyager is going to go. But one thing that I can safely say is that it's not going to fall anywhere close to what the Enterprise D was. And it's probably, I would imagine that it's still going to be less than my Disco Era Enterprise. It might end up being longer than the Cerritos tutorial, but still shorter than the Disco Era Enterprise. And I'm basing that off the time it took for me to build this ship out. But you know, we'll just kind of have to see where we land on it. If I end up being a little bit over or a little bit under that, don't hold it against me, because like I said, it's kind of hard to gauge it out. But I might end up doing that, going in and separating all my videos ahead of time just to get an idea of where we're going to fall. I am going to say that we're not going to take any breaks with season 1 of Voyager. We're going to let this ride out all the way through. I mean, that could be something that maybe I do in the future, maybe taking a break on a season and moving on to something else, and then coming back and finishing up the season as a way to be able to get out more content, because I'm sitting on a bunch of content right now that I'm waiting to get into. Because the Excelsior 2 class, it's not done, but the majority of it's done. There's actually very little as far as the shape of the ship goes that I have to fill in. Really, at this point, all I have to really do is fill in some of the shuttle bay area, and then some area on the back end of the neck, and then the bridge area, and then the exterior of the ship, as far as the shape of it is done, and then I just have to detail it. I don't know if I'll ever do a season 2 of the Excelsior as far as doing an interior. Because if I do end up doing that, it'll be something completely of my own design, because I've never shown any interior shots of it. Now, with that being said, I have some ideas on stuff that I want to do, but I'm not going to talk too much about the Excelsior Season 2 until we're at least getting into that. And then also, we've got the Enterprise D Season 2 coming up at some point in the future. And then also the Enterprise A 2.0 once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, and there's a bunch of other builds that I've already committed to doing. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. If you want to get a better idea, you're going to have to join my Discord and go under upcoming builds, and you'll be able to see everything that I've already committed to going forward. And with that being said, if there's stuff that you guys want to see, you can always go under the build suggestion tab, add your suggestion, or you can always make a suggestion in the comments. either on in the general chat on Discord or YouTube. But with that being said, I don't take personal build requests, and there's a couple of reasons for that, but just the gist of it is I have so many people asking me to make stuff. There's just no way for me to accommodate that many people. So I try to just go off of what the community wants, and then if I see something that I really want to make. So if you do make a suggestion, just please don't ask me directly to build the ship, because what's going to end up happening is I'm going to take the suggestion, I'm going to add it to my build suggestions tab, unless it's something that I really, really want to do. But don't get me wrong, I definitely appreciate all the suggestions that I get from people. I've gotten a ton of suggestions, and I need even more because this is something that we're going to be doing going forward indefinitely. But with that being said, I have a ton of large-scale build ideas from people. Really the thing that I'm lacking with, that I could use some help with suggestions, is smaller builds. And I'm not talking about building the Death Star in one episode. That can't be done. I'm talking about a small scale build that can be achieved in either one episode or a 4-part miniseries, or shorter. So if you have a small build idea that you would like to see me do, drop a comment below in my YouTube, or go on Discord under build suggestions, because I want to be able to have other stuff that'll be coming out along with my main seasons. Because we have the Outrider. I'm releasing the Outrider every couple of weeks. I don't want to put out all, because I've only got 4 episodes on it, and I think I've put out 2. I'm probably going to be putting out episode 3 this coming weekend. So this episode will be coming out on Wednesday, so the 3rd episode of the Outrider should be coming out this upcoming weekend. I was going to have it come out the previous weekend, but I want to stretch it out just a little bit more because I haven't necessarily started working on another small build to fit that slot, so I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit more. So again, if you guys can help me out and give me some suggestions, I definitely appreciate it. I do want to briefly get back into what we got going on here. You can see that we've been continuing to build on. We have the outline of our front end completed. Now we're just filling in the gaps, and all I'm literally doing is I'm going with my cut line and I'm just bringing it straight across. That 1 block cut line that goes in with down and back with a cut by 1, just bring that straight across. Simple as that. We're going to do that going all the way down. I haven't had too many. I did have a couple of people, like when I first started doing my YouTube, tell me that I was too much of a stickler with my rules and stuff that I have in place. You got to understand, like, I'm not saying that this is stuff that you have to do. This is why I try to convey just how important it is that I'm just giving you suggestions. But I talk about the stuff that I did because I'm trying to talk to a variety of different builders. There's people that might just be watching this just to watch me build something. There's people that might be watching this just to get a general idea. And then there's people that want to follow me step by step. So I kind of try to hit all 3 of those if and where I can. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, all the suggestions that I'm making, that's all it is. It's a suggestion. Build this ship out however you want. That's why I said on episode 30 or 31, when we're making a huge alteration to the front end of the lower hull, that if you're either too lazy and you don't want to do it, or you're happy with it, you don't have to do it. Don't make the change. It's not really going to affect the build at all. The only difference is that you'd end up having 1 more deck than what my version of Voyager would ultimately have, and yours would be a little bit beefier on the sides. But that's why I try to encourage customization. Do what you're going to be happy with. You can follow and take whatever idea that I'm throwing out here in these episodes as I'm going through them, and feel free to alter it or do whatever you want. Because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun with this, what's the point of doing it? You know what I mean? So we're looking pretty good. We're actually pretty much done with today's episode. kind of cool. And see, I mean, you got to be honest at this point. It really wasn't too bad redoing this front end. I'd say it was easier this go around because we already had our template in place. Just making some changes to it. So I always say work smarter, not harder. Use what you got if and where you can to make things a little bit easier. Now this isn't 100% perfect. We're going to have to make some changes, but we are slowly but surely, step by step by step, approaching where Voyager will ultimately end up, how she looked in the tour episode. So if that's what you were looking for, stay with me. Come with me on this journey in building this ship out. We're going to do it one step at a time, one episode at a time. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. Can't thank you guys enough for that. But anyway, I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.